Let's talk about Chin churches, right? You have Sunday school, Minnow youth group, and then you have Nubu and Babu.
Yeah.
So if you're not Minnow, some churches Minnow from is like 16 to college, and after college you don't get married. There's no ministry for you. You can't join Nubu group. You can't.
And we kind of ask like, well, why don't I have the same blessings of them? Or we even pray like, God, why are you blessing them and you're not blessing me? And we can really get into a works-based faith and say like, well, God, well, I'm trying to do this. And then you start trying to check boxes for God and say, well, I did this. I have a career. I graduated from college. I'm financially stable. Well, now you need to send me my husband. So you
I would rather be single my whole life than date the wrong person and pick the wrong characters, the wrong qualities that you are not approved of. I would rather be single. I would rather get married in my late 40s and 30s than being in those and ending up in divorce, right?
Welcome to Heart, where we have open and honest conversations for every stage of life. We believe that life is about knowing our own hearts and also pursuing God's heart. We hope to dive into the questions that matter to you and to us. Let's tune in with Heart to Heart.
Hello, welcome back to Heart podcast. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. I'm very excited for you guys because this episode is going to be a girl talk, girls conversation. So before you are watching the full video, please subscribe us on Facebook and YouTube as well. So yeah, hi guys. Hello. You know what? I'm so nervous for some reason. I think it's because the window is all opened and everyone can see us. Anyway, we're here with my friends. Dr. Kai Kai. She's not a stranger anymore. And here's Jaylee and Esther. We are currently at Key West. So it's we are having a girls trip right now. What do you guys think about our trip so far?
It's been good so far. Our drive down was good from West Palm, and then yesterday we had our first little adventure jet skiing, which was pretty fun.
Yeah, I feel like Esther is enjoying it so much.
I truly am, and we have to thank Zhao for that as well, for being the superb driver that she is. She really carried us this trip.
Yeah,
I like how we're okay with compromising. Like this morning, we want to get up, go for a walk, and what else are we gonna do? Maybe a run.
Yeah,
go see sunrise, but that didn't happen. But we're okay. We're just going with the flow. It's for vacation, so we're good.
You know, this is our second time, all four of us together traveling.
Third time. Yes,
Wait,
we went to.
First?
What's the first?
We went skiing and then
yeah.
Mackinac Island and this one.
That's insane. You know, one thing is that my sister, you guys know Yang Yang, right? She always says that I will never try with people that, I don't have the same hobbies with because it's so hard to travel. And she would be the person that says, we would go somewhere else and be like, I'm not having fun. Can we go home? Yeah. So I think us being able to travel 3 times, I think it's... we get along really well. I like it.
It may not be that we have the same hobbies, but we have a sense for adventures. We are down for adventure, and I think that is the most important thing when you go to a vacation together.
I agree. Yeah.
We might look, I guess these two or you two, you might look very girly, but when it comes to trying different scary adventures like skiing or jet ski, they're down.
Yesterday, Esther was like this. She went on the next level.
Yeah, I went above 65.
That's scary.
That was.
You lost your hair tie, your hat. Her hair was blowing the wind, and she was standing there riding a horse on an ocean.
Joe lost something too. What did you lose?
I lost my earring. But yeah, because when we first went there, right, the instruction, I didn't want to touch the water, and I look at Esther and was like, I don't think Esther is gonna be enjoying this activity. And then I think she'll be going around when we took the break. It was the full speed. already. I was like, what the heck is going on? But
That's when I had that thought, like, wow, these people are very adventurous, and I think there's a touch of competitiveness inside all of us that we really want to keep up with the group, and like we don't want to be that one person who like people leave behind.
Yeah.
So
You know, the thing is, we have to follow our tour guide, right? Every time I feel like I'm a little bit behind, I looked at you guys like, are they behind or not? So that I can keep up. I always do that. I think I'm excited for this year's Europe trip, which Jaylee needs to decide it soon.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about it, but we'll see with schedules and things like that.
Yeah. She's a teacher, so she'll have to think about her students as well.
Yeah.
I like how
It's more work to be away from work
Yeah.
than to be at work.
Yeah.
I think we should segue into just friendships, because we don't really know each other for that long, but we have so much connection.
Yeah.
And I kind of wanted to talk about like Christian friendships and what that looks like. Anyone have any thoughts?
Yeah, I love that we are touching that topic, because I think since I was in high school or in college, I always struggled to have that, because I long for that genuine connection with people, that genuine friendship, right? For example, I would have friends, and then back when we were really young, and then her mom arrived to Malaysia or the States, and she never told me. And I'm one of those people, like, if I have the friendships, like, I want to be involved in their life as well. And that I always long for that friendship. And there's been so many times, like, I feel so lonely. I felt like I never have, like, really good friends, like Christian friends that I can connect to. Even if we don't see each other every single day, I always long for that. I feel like the past, like, 2 years, I think, since I met you guys, and then Jaylee and Linda as well, I think I really have that, like, strong group of friendships that helped me grow in Christ, and also love the Bible and do some adventurous things and travel a lot as well. So I think that's really, really important to talk about that. What do you guys think about that type of friendships, especially in our Chin community as well?
I would say it's very, very important, especially, it's very, very important. I live alone in West Palm, so I'm not next to any Chin communities, but plugging myself into a Christian community is so important, just to like have people to go to when you run through a certain situation, and like you guys virtually as well, we stay connected almost every week. And with that, with having good Christian friendship, is that when you are going through certain seasons or certain situation, they help you to look, what does the Bible say about this? How do you approach this? And for example, even like when we are going on trip right now, like our conversations are so spiritual, and the music that we listen to, those kind of things, and it gets you to talk about lives. So I think those definitely are the positive, like, helps in reinforcement.
Yeah, I think for friendships in general, right, it can be a comfort to you, right, whatever you're going through, but also I think it's good for accountability. Like when you're in a Christian community, right, sometimes you seek out advice, but it's best to have friends, right, that can be honest with you as well, right? If you're at fault, or maybe you should do something else or change your plans, right, you guys can look at the Bible together, and they can point that out to you and say, hey, you're going in this direction, actually I think maybe you should take a look at what you're doing and see if we can go another direction, right? But I think what's also important is, for myself, as I've had friendship, is like accepting that, like, we're not perfect. And as I've gone, like, into adulthood and even after college, is that, like, I've chosen my friends and I do trust them now. I have a good friend group. And I think I've thought a lot about, whenever we go through challenges, right, do I want to be the type of friend that kind of backs away and says, oh, they're going through something, I'll kind of step back? Or do I want to be that friend that says, hey, I'm going to stick by you and be beside you no matter what happens? And hopefully, I can encourage you and uplift you, but sometimes we can't control each other, and sometimes we just have to ride alongside each other.
Yeah, true.
Throughout my life, I feel like my friendship has been the one that makes life fun. There are so many points in my life where I am always by myself, whether that be like going away to college or school, where my families are not around, my community is not around. I always have these group of friends, and again, it's never about quantity, it's always about quality. I'm not the type of person to, I gotta admit, like, to reach out to people, but when I do have a few friends. They're more meaningful. They're more I would say like have quality that I want to be, as well as I want basically deep friendship instead of quantity. And then friendships have been the one that helped me when during like times of suffering or times of just being very like a loneliness. Friends is who I always turn to, and they give me so much encouragement. And that's in like friendship in general. But if talking about Christian friendships, I have a lot of non-Christian friends as well as non-Christian friends, and the one that differentiate between is I feel like I can truly be myself in front of my Christian friends. My definition of fun, as well as the thing that I value in life, I am able to talk to them about and to be more open. And so I love my non-Christian friends too, but sometimes I feel like I have to hold myself back.
Yeah, that is so true. I truly believe that even in friendship, that safety is so important. There's so many times where people are in a friend group and they feel very they feel like they have to fake. They feel like they cannot be themselves because they are afraid of judgment, and they are afraid of all of those criticism. And I think it is so important to especially in Christian friendship, that accountability, and also that that safety, that hey, you can be yourself, you can tell us how you feel, and we can talk about this together. Because a lot of times I think even in friendship it's so easy to feel insecure, because if you feel like your friend is more smart or successful or more beautiful, it kind of makes you question yourself. And if you really if you don't have the confidence and the security from Christ, it's easy for you to not like the friend group, or it's easy to feel like you don't belong in that friend group a lot of time. So yeah, I really like that. And I also think that in friendship there are seasons of life, right? Some of our friends may be dating, some of our friends may be engaged, and some of them are married and have kids. And I also think that God brings people in your life in each season, and each season can be different. And I always thought I'm one of those people, like I feel like I take things so personally. And I always thought, if I'm friend with you, I need to be friend with you forever. Even if we fight, we have to be forever. And if you do anything slightly that is like, if you don't include me or in that, I get offended. Like I get very I get hurt, because I thought I was your friend. I'm one of those people that, and then I realized that a lot of my friends when I was younger, they're not meant to be in my life forever, even though I have so much love for them. And I think it is okay to accept that. And it took me a while for me to accept that.
Yeah, I think we get to a point in life where it's really hard to see them every day, or to just include them every day. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that you don't love them any less. It just means that your lives are different now. They have different priority, and you have different priority. But when you do see each other, like you can go back to being friends, and there's no hate in that. I feel like that differentiates like a more mature friendship and like not immature friendships. Immature friendships, like, okay, she doesn't call me anymore, so I'm gonna call her anymore, or like she has new friends now, she forgot about me. When I hear those stuff, I'm like, okay, you're busy, you don't reach out to me either. Like it doesn't mean I have hate for you, it's just we have different priority at that moment. But the time that we have right now, let's just treasure it, and let's go back to talking about how's your life, how's my life, instead of like making the other person feel bad. Esther, Anita, I think you have something in your mind.
Yeah, I totally agree with what was said earlier. Is with friends, keeping up with each other is really hard. But I think something that we should all work for is to celebrate moments together, even if you are far apart. Because growing apart is a natural thing. Because you are two different people. You grow up to have very different experiences. So naturally, the commonality that you share is less and less. And even with that on, if you truly appreciate and treasure that friendship, you should reach out once in a while and make sure that when they are going through like a big moment, be it like very big, engagement or going through a hard time, just to make sure that they're in your mind.
Yeah, I agree.
How about comparison or between friends or even between girls?
Yeah.
Have you guys experienced that? What do you think about that?
I think I have experienced it a lot in college, where you see where people are trying to figure themselves out, what they want to do. But even now, like, I can't remember who mentioned it earlier, but like when you have a friendship or you get easily offended, you take things personally, you kind of have that mindset of comparison already. Even like, oh, well, two of my friends went and did something without me. Like, why did they not ask me? And things like that. And then I feel like in that space, not only comparison leads to a lot of like holding grudges or unforgiveness, which also, right, when you harbor unforgiveness, it actually does more harm for you, right? So I think most important, right, to avoid comparison, it happens naturally too. Like even when we're in a group like this, like for example, if we're on vacation, we're saying, oh, we're gonna go out to dinner, oh, let's all get dressed. We know, so we're all looking at each other. Okay, what is she wearing? Okay, how is she doing her hair? What shoes is she wearing? Do we have the same vibe? Are we matching the vibe of what we're doing? So we have that type of comparison, which really isn't bad, but I think it crosses a line to where if it's constantly in your mind and then it leads you and influences your decisions, that's where you really have to check yourself and say, okay, but what is my identity, right? Where am I placing my identity? Why am I comparing myself so much to my friends, right? I think the best friend groups are friend groups that when you're so different from each other. Like you all have different careers, you have different hobbies, but you still come together and you have some commonality. With that, like you can compare yourselves, but your identity, really, you need to know what it is focused on, and really that is Christ, right? We've all been made differently, and that's a beautiful thing that we can actually celebrate instead of comparing each other negatively.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And also, I think, especially with like Valentine's coming, when I was younger and I would see my friends having boyfriends and dating, and they would get flowers on Valentine's, because since I always knew that since I was in high school, I always knew that I will not date until I'm mature enough, right? And I do see my friends getting flowers and dating and having boyfriends and always talking to like somebody all the time, and it always makes me think like, God, like am I not, like, I feel like you love them more than me. Or I would always compare myself to their situation, or because I was like, I would always ask myself, maybe I'm not, it's not my time, or those things. I think it's good to think that way, but a lot of times it's easy to compare yourself to those friends who are in a relationship as well. I deep down in my heart, I always felt alone. It's like, am I not going to date forever? And those things. So what do you guys think about singleness in life, in your personal life?
Esther, you start.
Oh, shit.
Like she's in the corner and like waiting for us to
How do I start? I think singleness is a season that you really have to navigate well. Sometimes, yes, your friends are in different stage of life, and you taking advice from them or be navigating life, it could be hard. It is not easy, but at the end of the day, like, is that the one thing that is keeping you up at night? I feel like there are a lot more to life than being in a relationship. Like right now, I'm doing a lot. I'm traveling a lot.
I love that for you.
And so there's a lot to see, and definitely there is, I believe that God has something for us, and that he's not going to leave us stranded, because we are told to be fruitful and multiply. So I feel like God will definitely give in time.
I told Esther to start dating yesterday, 2 days ago, and she's like, I have so many travel plans coming up, I don't have time.
That's what I told a couple other that I don't have time for magic this year, because I kind of already have planned everything, but which might not be a good thing.
And you
Yeah.
never know. And then don't they say like it'll happen when you least expect it?
You know what they say? You know that meme? Like, I'm not walking down the wedding aisle anytime soon, so I'll walk down the flight aisles.
Catching flight, not catching
like
feeling.
And also, I think it's good to state that singleness is a gift. Singleness is truly a gift. And I didn't know that a lot of people didn't see it like that. That singleness is a gift. When I said it, they're like, "Well, what are you talking about?" And that's when I realized our generation is we're so lonely. If we always look for that validation, that love from people, as your significant other, and we are not looking to God for those love. And truly, singleness is a gift, and while we are single, we should be serving God, going out on mission, travel, live your life for God, lead a small group, like those things, Bible studies. I think those are the time that we're created for. That singleness is such a gift, and not a lot of people see it that way. And I think this is the reason that a lot of young people like us are we're feeling lonely, especially in Valentine's Day or all of those days, right? Like National Boyfriend Day, National Girlfriend Day. I didn't even know that was the thing. And we feel so lonely. I think it is so important for us to remember that singleness is a gift, and that this is a time for us to serve God in the best way that we can, like wholeheartedly.
I think if I were to date when I was younger, even before I am fully confidence in myself, and as well as not trusting God fully for his plan, I would have been such a horrible person for whoever I dated. I'm selfish. I want things to go my way. I want people to see my desire and fulfill that desire. So it's all about what can the other person give me, right, when you're immature and young. So if I were to date in that position, I think it would be a very toxic place. I think as you mature, you become more confident in what God's made for you and God's plan. Your purpose of dating and seeing relationship is about how I can serve and love that person instead of what I can get. So when you come from that place of wanting to give, you want to create a relationship that is more sturdy and stronger. So I think singleness is, even though also I want to say that singleness does not mean loneliness. You can be in a relationship and become very lonely, and you can be in singleness and full of life. So singleness, don't ever view that as, okay, I'm just lonely, I'm waiting for that person. Like, you are already whole as a person. You have Christ who fulfill you. So again, it's a season. Once you're married, and hopefully you can never go back, right? Because hopefully it's one and done.
Yes.
So enjoy it, treasure it, and still work on yourself to be a better person for that person. Like how much try to learn. You can still practice how to love another person. Using your friends or using your your family, you can practice how to love. You don't have to have a boyfriend or girlfriend to know how to love.
Yeah.
So a singleness, we're not missing those skills. So
I agree. And adding on to what you said earlier, I think you can use singleness or that season to reflect on your past relationship. What went wrong? How could I be better? Or what do I want? Is a deal breaker now.
Yeah.
Like, it filters you, it makes you mature, and of course that use that time to reflect on your life, like for your future, while you're praying for a heart that is prepared for the next step.
Yeah, I think one thing that we've been talking about is comparison. I think really, people say like comparison is the thief of joy, and a lot of times like we see people who are okay, they're dating, they're engaged, and we have this kind of mindset, or even they have other things, they're successful in their career, and we kind of ask like, well, why don't I have the same blessings of them? Or we even pray like, God, why are you blessing them and you're not blessing me? And we can really get into a works-based faith and say like, well, God, I'm trying to do this, and then you start trying to check boxes for God and say, well, I did this, I have a career, I graduated from college, I'm financially stable. Well, now you need to send me my husband. So you kind of, and then you, if he doesn't, right, then you just kind of wait around and like, okay, well, where's my blessing? Then you see things happening for people around you, and then that's where that comparison comes in.
Right.
You're not enjoying the season that you're in, right? You're not finding joy in singleness. You're focused on the blessings of others when really God is trying to tell you, hey, I want to bless you in a different way, right? I want to bless you in a way that's fit for you, right? Because the timeline of someone else's life is never fit for your life, right? God has a plan and a design for each and every one of us. So someone who gets married at 22, they have a different life plan that God has given them from someone who gets married when they're 35, right? And both of those are perfect for each person. So especially like time and kind of ask God, like, oh, well, next year, Lord, please send me my husband next year because I'm going to be successful. I'm going to check these boxes, right? But really,
planned it ahead.
yeah, we're trying to plan it ahead, right? And I think we get caught up in our own plans to where then we're like, well, God, what are you doing? Well, why not, God, like the time's come on, like the year's almost over.
Yeah.
When really, right, his wisdom is so much greater than ours, and anything that he has planned for us is better than, you know, we could spend 2 months trying to plan one event.
Yeah.
And he could do it in one day. He could do it in 2 hours and change our whole lives completely, which would be better than anything we ever expected.
Absolutely. You know, one thing I think it was, I think when I was a freshman year in college, I really, because I was always like a lukewarm Christian where like I'm very passionate here, and then later on it's like life happens and my relationship with God has become distant. And I think when I was college freshman year, that's when I really truly trust God. And I realized that, you know what, marriage is not the ultimate thing in life. Like that is not what God designed us for. A lot of times people see as like marriage as like the ultimate thing here in life, not even to live in their potential, their purpose. And they think marriage is the main thing, and God, if you don't give me this, I am going to be so sad and so mad and so disappointed in my life. And one thing I realized that I've seen a lot of people who got married in their late 30s, early 40s, late 40s, and their marriage is amazing. And after seeing that, I pray to God, if I am not going to be dating the right person that you will have planned for me, the right characters that I look for, if I don't have the maturity for me to differentiate what is a godly man and what is not, I would rather be single my whole life than date the wrong person and pick the wrong characters, the wrong qualities that you are not approved of. I would rather be single. I would rather get married in my late 40s and 30s than being in those and ended up in divorce, right? So I think it is so important, because we think that marriage is the ultimate thing. It is not. Marriage is not. God has a plan for you, and the plan for you and me might not be the same, and that is okay. That's the beauty of life, and we have to be celebrating for those life events for our friends as well.
Yeah, I want to say one thing about, I feel like you guys can disagree with me, the churches are failing single people. Failing single people. I think either in ministry or the way we preach about marriage, we say if you're married, then you're on the path to heaven, and if you're single, you're sinning. Basically, that's the message that we hear sometimes. Every auntie or every people that we met, every time they ask us, "How are you? Oh, you're not married yet?
You're so single? When are you gonna get married?"
Yes, and even the pastors. I heard people say, you know, like, ladies, like, you guys are not fulfilling the Bible's calling if you're not married and have kids, and it is so sad.
That is so wrong.
Some people might not even say that, like, you know, some churches, but there is this like feeling that you get in a church where you don't belong. You feel like you don't have a ministry if you're not married, especially when you reach a certain age. Let's talk about Chin churches, right? You have Sunday school, Minnow youth group, and then you have Nubu and Babu.
Yeah.
So if you're not Minnow, some churches Minnow from is like 16 to college, and after college you don't get married. There's no ministry for you. You can't join Nubu group. You can't join Minnow group because Minnow they're like some of the students sometimes you teach in they're like the student that you have when you were teaching Sunday school or something.
Yeah.
So you're in the same group as you, and it's really hard to relate and share life story when you when you are that age of a difference and different life. So I feel like our Chin churches needs to come up with a ministry for people who are in a certain age or not yet married, or even if they are married at a certain age and don't feel like they belong in new book group yet. I think we need to create that group,
that space.
It's not just Chin people, it's also Marang people. I heard this girl say they were they're Marang, so they were talking American. They were talking to their friends, and she's single, her friend isn't single, and then there was another married friend who came and invited that married friend, and then she eventually invited the single friend almost out of pity because she happened to be there. And Marang people, they go to these events and it's always like they pair up. It's like wife and husband. And when you're a single person trying to be in that group, it's very, very hard. It's very awkward. I've been there before when I am at work event. I don't have a plus one, and you feel like an odd one out, especially in American set, like a what do you call those, like party social setting. You feel like an odd one out as a single person. And at least in church, let's create a position in ministry for people where they don't feel like single people are feeling like they're left out. I think I want to say one thing. In Asian culture or Chin culture, we're very good, not in social setting, we're very good at including everyone, which I really appreciate. Because it's kind of like you go into a house party and then all the girls on one side, all the guys on one side. So you don't feel like you feel left out as a single person, which I appreciate our Asian culture for that, for sure.
Yeah, I strongly agree with what you said about Chin churches needing to step up for young adults. So I go to American church, and we have our young adult ministry, which is post-college to like the age 35, around mid-30s. And I think that's something Chin churches should also try to replicate, because as you said, like a high schooler and someone in our mid-20s like us, we don't share the same experiences. We can't go to them for advice.
So you feel like their mother.
I think it's truly important for us to separate youth versus young adults.
I agree. That seasons of life, I think it's so hard when you're in between. You're not too young anymore, but not too old, but you're still in between. You're post-college, those life. I think this is when Satan wants to, I would say, question our worth and making us feel like, God is not going to deliver what he promised. And I think it is so important as a Christian that if I truly believe in God, if I truly trust that Jesus is my Lord and Savior, and that he loved me so much enough for him to die on the cross, we should trust him enough to for our future spouses, our whatever things that are happening around us, even in social gatherings and those things, that God will deliver his promise in his own timing, not our timing. Because it can be very hard, because we already talked about this in our other episode, especially our Burmese Chin parents. They would always say that when we're in middle school or high school, it's like, don't date. You better not date. You better not date a boy or a girl. You better not see any girls yet. You're too young. And then once you finish college, they're like, where's your boyfriend? Where's your girlfriend? Where's your husband? Why are you not still married yet? And they question you like that. And especially with the social pressure, I think it's easy to kind of question yourself and kind of feel lonely at times, because those words can hurt. Even though they don't mean it that way, it can hurt, and it makes you question. It's like, I feel so left out. I don't want to go to church anymore because they're like this and that. And I think it's so important to trust God in those moments, those waiting season, that God will deliver in his own timing, not my timing, but his own perfect timing. So I really encourage me for that. Talking about dating, can we talk about I think we're gonna get to like vulnerable. Esther's like, I'm not prepared for this. Talking about dating, like, I think we can only speak from our Chin, Burmese culture experience. I think with our culture and the way we date, I think it influences a lot as well, especially for us ladies or for the guys, like how to date your girlfriend, or how to love your boyfriend as well, like how to date each other in a way that we can fulfill each other's preferences with still godly boundaries, right? So what do you guys think about that? Do you guys want to talk about that as well?
Are you talking about how to date?
Wait,
I don't get the question either.
yes, how to date, I guess.
Did you guys ever have an episode about this?
We do, but this is from a girly perspective.
A girly
I feel like a lot of our Chin guys are lacking on how to date as well. And we can talk both from the guys' perspective,
Okay.
for the guys and also for the girls as well.
Okay,
because
I
I
like
think
that.
we lack that. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, let's talk about with the guy from what you want the guys to be. Like, if you have a message for the guys. Or like,
By the way, my friends are all single.
okay. Well, okay. Yes, we are all single.
We're all
1, 2, 3, 4.
We're all single.
Yes.
That pause is not convincing.
Yes, I am single.
Who's not single here? Wait, hold
Nobody.
on. Who's not single here?
Jaylee, you have a
Right
secret
now?
boyfriend?
No,
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah.
We're single
Okay.
since birth.
All right. So, if I have a son, this is how I would teach my son to if it comes to dating.
Yeah.
I would say you are wonderfully and fearfully made, and you should have confidence in how God made you. So it doesn't matter where you are in life, you have confidence, and that confidence show up in your action. So if you like a girl, be intentional, approach them, hopefully in person, not through
Not
Facebook direct message. Hey, that's it. Don't do that.
Not walk away.
Yeah. And if they don't respond back, that's true. Girls are very skeptical and afraid of the world sometimes. So if they get strangers saying, hey, like, if they don't respond to you, don't take it personally. I think the girls are just protecting themselves. So, I'll tell my son, like, be confident, be intentional, approach the girl that you like. Hopefully it's just one girl. One time, not a bunch of girls. And then you're not sincere anymore.
Yeah.
And then be intentional and approach them and be manly about it.
Yeah.
I like you. I think you're a great person. Or like, if you're not in that position, you can say like, I really want to take you out for coffee. And if they say no, then just still be friend with them. They have the option to say no to you. Like, that is their God's given right. Just because, and then you don't want them to say yes out of being kindness. Then that's
you don't want to. Yeah.
exactly. So just accept. If they say yes, then great. Take them out on coffee. Pay for them, please.
Especially first date.
It's
right?
never about the amount, guys. It's never about the grand gesture. It's all about the tiny, thoughtful detail and the effort that you make. So that would be something that I would say to my son.
Yeah. I love it. Jaylee, you guys any advice?
Oh, by the way, Jaylee is a teacher. You teaches high school students, right? So she see a lot of high school dating. And okay, so imagine your student asking you for advice. How would you?
I think it's so funny to see high schoolers now. Like, we're not so far off in age.
Yes. Some of your kids are taller than you.
But I mean, I already feel like I see the kind of generational differences in that way. Like, social media does take a huge part. Like, even for some of my students, like, they'll ask me for advice, or like I hear by word of mouth, oh, so-and-so's dating so-and-so, whatever. And a lot of them, it's like they see each other in person and they will not speak to each other in person. Like, they will,
But they like
will,
each other.
yes, they will, and they will walk by each other and like
communicate.
just like have like the tension, and I'm like I
enjoy
watch
that.
them and I'm like, what are they doing? Like, but then they
That's
tell
probably
me,
what God sees us like.
yeah, like, what are you doing? And so they won't speak to each other in person really, but then they'll tell me that they text each other. Rarely they'll like talk on the phone. But a lot of times it's like, oh, I see this girl, especially when we get new students, right? It's like the boys just kind of like all focus on her. And they do this kind of like, they see her and they say, oh yeah, she's pretty, I like her. But instead of approaching in person, they don't say anything to her. They'll try to ask me questions and get information out of me, which I always tell them no. Like, no, you can ask her. Yeah, they want me to be their wing woman. And I said no. And then they end up like texting or trying to find Instagram or Facebook, something like that. But I've always told them, right, direct approach is the best, right? If you, for example, if there's a new student, it's a girl, ask her if she needs help with something, right? This is my high school example. But, right, you can approach them, like, if you have an interest in them and just be honest. Like, hey, can we go hang out? Can we do this sometime? Hey, I think you're really great. Oh, it was so good to see you do this last week, or I seen you do this. Or even if you have mutual connections, right, you can say, oh, do you know so-and-so? And then that conversation kind of leads, like, oh, I'm interested in you, let's try this. But I think what scares girls the most and what makes us more skeptical is that kind of like not knowing, right? Why is he approaching me? He said hi to me in person and then he keeps messaging me. He keeps sliding up on my story and saying like very vague things. Why is he doing this? And then I feel like that makes us more closed off, right? When the approach is not direct, like I'm questioning your motive. Right? Rather if you just say, hey, I see you, for example, like a church event or a social gathering. Hey, I've seen you a few times. Oh, what's your name? I was wondering, oh, aren't you friends with so-and-so, right? And kind of lead into natural conversation and then say like, hey, I'm interested in you. Hey, I'd like to get to know you better. Instead of like the vague around the way. I think people like don't like admitting that they like someone, or they don't like admitting that they have interest in someone, because I think that's something really vulnerable to do, because they can reject you, right? And
fear of rejection.
Yeah, rejection is a scary thing, and I think that's what holds a lot of guys back. They're like, well, what if she says no? And then also, if you're in a social setting, what if she says no in front of my friends? My friends are standing 10 feet away from me, watching me trying to go talk to this girl. And then if she says no, you know, you kind of do the awkward walk back, and then they're waiting for your response. But I think that's okay. And also for girls, I think what's most important is like, you have to be, especially young women, you have to be open to receiving too, right? If there's a guy that you see, like, just be respectful. Like, don't be weird and like, oh, this guy's looking at me. Like, and then because then it honestly, to me, which I've had to learn myself, it's kind of rude to do that and like, oh, I'm not going to talk to him at all because I'm not romantically interested in him. Or it's like, well, everybody deserves respect and deserves a chance, and like you can communicate with anybody. And I think there's kind of fear on both sides, and skepticism, fear of rejection.
Angela just stole my lines. So you had everything at TikTok. Yeah, I agree. I'm sure for a guy to like even slide up a story, that takes lots of courage. So as a woman, as a girl, like we should also be respectful about it. And communicating feeling is so important, especially when relationships tends to be online or like taking place in the DMs. Yeah, like have communication, talk about your feeling, and don't hold it off. And when things end or when talking stages end, just be open, take accountability. Yeah. And think smoothly. I think that's what I would say.
Yeah. I think the problem with our generation, and one thing I can see in our Chin guys is that they're so passive, and it's so unattractive. And having the courage to ask someone, even with there's a possibility that there might be rejection, accepting that is so courageous, and I like that a lot. And I think we were not taught how to date and how to ask people, and I don't think we were taught on how to deal with failures and rejections in our culture as well. So I think, you know, if I ever have, I do have a brother and I do teach in Sunday school as well. I always tell them you cannot date, you know, until you are 21. That's they always wanted to date, like when they were in 16, 17. But I told them, until you're 21, don't even think about dating yet. But if you see a girl after 21 and 22 and you're in college and you see a girl and you're interested in, just be honest with them, be brave about it. Don't be passive and be like, oh, I think he's just gonna like me, and that DM, and then pretending like you don't know them when you meet them. Meet her at a social gathering. Yeah,
Don't ask me to ask you out. Ask
Oh.
me out.
ask me out. Be brave about it. Be direct. You gotta lead. Be direct and ask me, even if I might reject you, right? So I always tell them, like, be direct, be honest with how you feel, and if they reject you, you shoot your shot, and you have nothing to lose, and you're very brave about it, and you should be proud of that as well. So I think that not being passive is something that is very, very important. And if someone is passive, I'm like, oh, no. Even if I like you a little, if you're being passive with like us going out and meeting and have like those intentional conversation, I'm like, no, I'm not going to give you a chance because you're being passive. Imagine if someone is being passive while they're interested in you and they're dating you. What makes you think they will lead you well in marriage, right? The purpose of dating is marriage. And if someone is being passive during those times, what makes you think they will be a good husband and good spouse or good wife while they're married to you? So I think that's a good indication, because no one really changed much.
And the major reason why we want somebody who is so intentional and somebody who is not passive is because I think we want someone who is a leader in our relationship. You know, someone that we can depend on, so we can look up to. So I think with men, I think it's just be men up. I think that's
Echoing on what Georgia said about predictor of future, what was the word? Future spouse.
Yeah.
To girls, I want to say, if you want to know who that person, let's say they message you, they talk to you, if you want to know that person is a good person to date or not, the best predictor is look at their past. Of course, there are people who go through the work and they change and be a better person, but a lot of time, if someone's past is, they like to cheat, they like to scam people, they talk to multiple girls at a time, that's going to be your future too. So if you want to know, okay, whoever talked to you, if you want to know about them, just look at what they're like in the past and how they interact with other people and their friends and their family, and you will know that person is a good person to respond back or to accept their invitation.
And also for the girls, I think here at Heart to Heart podcast, we talked about non-negotiables as well, and we talked about men being not passive and being brave about and not afraid of rejection. But for the ladies, I think it's so important to know what you're looking for, the non-negotiables that you have, and never settle for those. And there are a lot of times a guy might come and it makes you want to settle for that and makes you totally forgot about your non-negotiables at one point. But I think, as Ari mentioned, you would rather get married in your late 30s and early 40s than being married in a young age and ended up being divorced. That's the worst thing. So you have to stick to those non-negotiables that are according to the Bible, though. Not there's like he needs to be 6 feet tall and he needs to have this much money, career, and that. But it needs to be the characters that the Bible talks about in a good man.
Yeah, I wanna touch on the myth that to the guys that all girls are just looking for guys who make six-figure money. Like, we're not looking for that. We're looking for a provider mindset, someone who is they have a vision for their life. And it doesn't matter if you make 50,000, that's okay. Like, I'm sure there are other girls who just want guys for their money.
There are some girls
I cannot
too.
speak for those people. I am speaking for 4 girls here, as well as majority of Christian girls, I would say.
True.
We're looking for someone who just have a vision, who have, good head on their shoulder, and they are willing to work and to provide. I also seen guys who are, because of that belief, they chase money and making really good business and to be like millionaire, and then they'll be satisfied. And I feel very, very bad for those guys, actually, because like they call themselves Christians, but their life is led by like how much money they want to make. And so guys, don't feel like you have to prove using your money.
Yeah, truly. And also, I think, we talk about attraction, right? Mm-hmm. No matter how much that person have the money, if there's no that attractiveness, I don't think it's, some people would do it for the money. We can't speak for those. But I think from a Christian perspective, from, a Christian we believe in the Bible. If we truly believe in the Bible and we say that we believe in Christ and that Jesus died for us, I think that those external things, money, if you really work with someone, even if you don't have anything, you can work those money, you can earn those money, you can make those money with the person that you love.
What you can do, how you can contribute to either your community or for the glory of God. And along that process, God will give you one in time. So have that positivity in mind.
Yeah. Trust that if it does not happen yet at this moment on your own time, God has a better plan. God has better timing and a better person for you. In this time, you can practice how to be a good person, a good future wife. Instead of saying, I'm looking for this and this, start working on what can I do in my life to be a better wife or husband for my future spouse. That also means keeping your body pure, holy, and also you're spiritually strong, so that you can pass on to your future, teach your future children about holiness and about God, as well as physically strong. Like try to work out and do things that make you become a more wholesome person, a more whole person at this time.
Okay, perfect. That camera died, so we'll be focusing on that.
Why did that die?
I don't know. Did it die while I was speaking?
I think so. I just looked up and it was black, so...
No, that thing died.
Okay.
But that thing's still there.
Okay.
But thank you so much for listening to Heart Podcast. I hope you feel encouraged and blessed by this episode. This is a girl talk, so we're very vulnerable and honest as well. So we will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in with Heart to Heart. See you next week. Bye. Let's take a picture.
Wait, I wonder how long